Welcome to my cast. I am the Divine Emperor, also known as Marcus, depending on the context. Today I'm going to go through a PvZ of mine versus a fellow master, PvZ. I'm going to try to analyze my PvZ style, which essentially is a blink 2+ weapon timing with the intention of putting pressure on Zerg so that you can safely take your third. And probably digress a little bit on the matchup as a whole as well. So, might as well just start the game. Probe's a little slow due to lag. And Shakuras is a very forge, fast expanding, friendly map, which is why I'm putting my pylon here. Going out to scout afterwards as well. And this is also why you will see PvZ go for a 14 pool instead of a 14 hatch, simply because it's not safe versus cannon rushes. Now, the thing about me is that I don't go forge fast expand. Instead, I go 16 nexus or nexus first. Some would say it's slightly risky, but overall the PvZs I've had in like the last month, I have never really been punished for it. It's of course possible with a very early pool, but unless he goes something like Destiny style 11 pool or earlier, he won't be able to punish this. And should he go for something like that, you should be able to scout it with your 9 pylon building probe. So generally, I feel it's safe. My forge getting underway. The pool is not actually done yet, while my forge is halfway done. Yeah, after I do my forge, I do pylon, so I can constantly keep up my probe production, since I like being greedy. So my forge is finishing up. His slings are about to pop out. There they pop out 343. This is when my cannon has already started. And if you look at the rush distance between his main and my natural, it is so far that when he actually comes to this area, my cannon will already be finished. My wall of won't, but with only 2 links, there is no way he can actually get past it. They will die before they can actually do anything. And I also put down my gateway straight after, so I can tech and also try to finish my wall off. Should he come with more links earlier, before I can place my cybercore afterwards, you can always just put down a fake gateway there, and then cancel it once this one is almost finished. And that will generally hold pretty much all early link pressure against this. So, after that I generally take double gas, and this is so that I can afford to start my upgrade very early, because I need it if I want to get my 2+ weapon finished for the 10-minute mark, which is when my blink timing actually strikes. And it also helps me with the gas income later on when I'm actually producing the stalkers. So my opponent is expanding. You can already see I've tried to take the economical lead with 24 probes versus 18 drones. My expansion is already finished, while his is only slightly over halfway done. My gateway finishes. I put down my cyber. I'm going to start my weapon upgrade shortly now, and also begin chrono boosting that. Regarding chrono boost, you will be able to use like 2-3 on probes, but the rest you actually need to save for the forge and the cyber. Since the cyber comes so late, you need 2 chrono boosts approximately for the warp gate research to finish in time, which is around 8 minutes. While you need pretty much the rest for the ground weapon upgrade, so that you can have 2+ finished at the 10-minute mark. There is a couple of leftovers, but you will probably get supply block with this build if you use too much on it. Instead, perhaps using 1 or 2 on blink, so you can poke around a little before the last wave, so Like if you see ghost links, you can warp in zealots and so forth instead. It's probably a better investment. But currently, going very greedy, already having 30 probes by 530, which is a very good count. Going around, building a pile there so I don't get supply block, as well as building my Twilight console. And the important thing about the Twilight console is that it not only allows you to get blink, but also allows you to continue constant upgrade production, as you then will be able to get 2 armor, 2 weapon, and 2 shield. Yeah, although just 2 weapon is the factor of why I'm getting it in this scenario. So my opponent is getting his third, trying to drone up a little bit, while I'm currently getting my second, my gas at natural. Always get that after the warp gate research is getting started, so I can actually constantly produce 6 stalkers at a time without being gas starved. I'm currently boosting my upgrade, just constantly producing probes. Yeah, just forwarding a little bit. In the meantime, his scouting overload comes here, very well timed from his side, to see that my gates are at the moment going up. And he's now flying in the direction of my warp gates and Twilight console, so instead of hiding them, I just show him the stalkers, and decide to actually just cost him another 100 minerals. It's not worth hiding it at that point, I feel. So I currently boost that. I get up a proxy pylon with my scouting probe, because I was smart enough to take it away before his links actually came. Of course, you're not always that lucky. Sometimes Zergs will be able to find this, and thus you will actually have to warp in from your base and then go as the timing is finished. But even so, you should be able to deal some very heavy pressure with this. You just need to get blink perhaps a slightly bit earlier, so you can just warp out of your base instead of waiting for the upgrade from the forge. So I blink out. This is actually when I should start using the cannon to shoot down the forge, so that once you are pressuring, you can immediately go down and put down a nexus. Unfortunately, I do the mistake of not doing it before or later in this game, which means I will have a slightly delayed nexus. But anyway, go out, poke around, warping in another round, getting taken slightly out of position here by slings, but because of 0 upgrades, means that my 12 damage from 10 now will mean that instead of 4-shotting Zerglings, I can actually 3-shot them, and they deal no extra damage because they have no weapon upgrade, which pretty much makes Stalker go from totally horrible to actually decent versus Lings, which is a part of what makes this push so powerful. Because it has no clear counter. If he goes Ling heavy, you can just switch to Zealots, and even if you don't, 2+ weapon Stalkers are pretty decent against them. And then you go Stalker if you see roaches, and so forth. So, a very solid push. Now, as I said, the forge is not done yet, but around this timing is usually when you would have getting your expansion, which is pretty early considering it's only gone 10 minutes. And why it's safe is because that he can't really counterattack you now. He's busy holding off this immense wave of units knocking at his door, which means that you don't need any units to protect the verge. You just get it up, and then by the time he actually pushes you back, you should have some cannons starting and hopefully finishing, so that you can just rally your units with it and let the cannons protect you from whatever he may use to counter. So I push around a little bit. You can see it stopped at 58 drones because he felt the need to actually defend this, which is also a part of it. While he had the slight lead in drones before this attack, I have now taken up that lead again, because I constantly produce and I don't need to stop with it because I can actually afford the 6 gates. Doing some blink micro, and he actually is forced in this scenario, even with links, to actually pull drones. So even though he actually cleans it up, he loses so many drones that he's just so very far economically behind that he has 2 choices. He can either all in me, in which cannons and high ground advantage will probably make me hold, or he can try and draw back up, which will also leave him vulnerable to further aggression, because he has yet to actually take out the proxy pile. So I switch over to Zealots because I've seen the links and he seems to continue with it, so I go along with that. Then I see roaches, which is definitely not what I want to engage, because cells are easily kited with it, and they're not very efficient against them either. Tries to counter, but the pylon is so good placed. Regarding that, you need to try and place the pylons where you don't think he will scout, but you also need to place the pylon in a place where you can easily protect it. Like here, where I can just warp in a couple of units here, and he can't really hurt the pylon at all. So pylon placement is also an important part of it. Gathering up some stalkers and zealots so I can actually take on the lings while the stalkers are there, so the roaches won't kite and won't create any more problems. My nexus should have been pretty much finished now, almost, and this just goes to show how strong it is. I have now already weakened him. He's not even close to actually pushing me back yet, but my nexus should have been finished now, and my cannons should have probably been started now, which means that by the time I actually have to retreat, I would have a totally secure third with 60 to 70 probes mining and several cannons to protect and such, and thus I would be stabilized for a long-term macro game. Now, since you always destroy the forge here, it's important that you rebuild it with your expansion here, so that you can actually get cannons to defend it in time. My nexus was delayed this time, so even though my forge was delayed, it's not that big of a deal, but if you don't get the forge as you pressure, it's going to be much easier for him to counterattack, as you won't have the cannons to actually defend this vulnerable natural. So yeah, he goes to poke in, I just warp in a little bit, so that's not a big issue. In the meantime, I'm going to go for some more pressure again, sniping some lings. Here comes his roaches. I blink back with my stalkers so the zealots can actually go into war, while I'm focusing down the roaches. And even though he easily can take on the zealots with his roaches, my stalkers get some very good free shots in the meantime, and then I just blink in, trap them, kill them. And it also gets a free infestor, which is always nice considering how gas intensive they are. So now he's behind a unit, so I take the chance to actually clean up this third, which leaves him with 2 bases and 37 drones, which is my 67 and soon to come third. Of course this can be better defended. A lot of good players I've been using it against will defend it more easily, but you don't need to do this much damage for actually to be for it to be worthwhile. You just need to pressure him so I can actually get up that third. You just need to hold him away from you for a couple of minutes, and as long as you can do that, you're pretty much good set for a macro game. Now he actually takes down my pile, so I decide that I have to go back. I can't reinforce anymore, so it would be actually pretty worthless to try and pressure more. I've already done enough damage anyway, so I pull back to my third. Pylons going up so I can constantly reinforce it. Cannons are going to come up now as well. Upgrades have begun starting again. They're very late. In a good scenario, you could probably have 3 weapons finished by now and 1 armor, which is pretty damn solid 14 minutes into the game. And it makes blink stalkers really, really strong. So, got plenty of probes here, more than I can actually use, which is why I'm getting the third, so I can actually use my harvester efficiently. putting down 5 cannons, which will pretty much hold anything below 100 Zerglings, and together with your main army, it can hold almost all form for aggression, as it gives detection, it gives good firepower, and it's generally just something solid to have. Another attack going on here. Not sure why he attacked, but anyways, attacking Roach Infestor is not always the best thing to do with just pure Blink Stalkers. But in this scenario, I just had so much more than him that I figured I could might as well do it, and perhaps even get that Infestor or Hatchery. Because stopping him from actually getting an eco equal to mine was really what I was after. And if you see him, infestors in small roaches, in groups with small roaches, always feel free to try and snipe them. Just make sure you're not overcommitting so that you can actually counter and do some real damage. So yeah, I just shoot this down because of my superior upgrades and my superior number. Cannons going up, transferring probes. Could transfer even more for that matter, and that really stabilizes me, because now I got Forge, I got the upgrades, I got the Templar Archive. I would probably also put down a Stargate as well now, because not only does it prevent counter attacks, which not include Hydras, but it also is a very good unit for late game versus, for example, Broodlords, which can easily be sniped and such by Void Race. So yeah, sniping down is natural, saturating, I mean his third. Meanwhile, saturating my third, warping in some more reinforcements so that even if he should kill all these, I can still prepare and defend. And yeah, he just so far behind there, he failed to all-in, he failed to expand, and thus he had to say GG. Now, of course, it's not always it goes this well, but overall, it's a very solid build. I've yet to actually fail with it, as long as I did it well on my end. And it also allows you to easily transition into late game by like adding a fort at perhaps 16-17 minute mark, adding more tech, continuing with some upgrades. Blink Stalkers are overall a very cost efficient and versatile unit, which generally can hold whatever Zerg throws at you if you just use them correctly. So yeah, that's it for today, pretty much. Just wanted to share this build and hope that a lot of protesters will use it, because I feel it's a very safe, good pressure-based build. And yeah, I feel it's a good way to play PvZ on. And of course, if someone should find even a better version of this, feel free to contact me and say so. I would be glad to see even better blink timings and even better blink uses and such. So yeah, that's it for today.